Diane Rivoli, and this is my novel, License. License is a story about the moments and the emotions that make up life. License lives in those moments and lays bare those emotions by giving voice to its varied cast of characters, digging deep into their souls, letting your heart beat with theirs. Different people live a moment in different ways. There's the one that gives the gift and the one that receives it. The one that tells the joke and the one that hears it. The one that throws the punch and the one that gets the bloody nose. The one that leaves and the one that watches them go. Tonight, I'd like to read for you 2 excerpts from License. They will both be about the same moment, but they will not be the same story. This is License to be Emma. Emma had done it again. Stuck her foot in her mouth, said the wrong thing. She had been doing that too frequently these days, in front of her students when she was teaching a class, in front of her colleagues at meetings, a scatterbrained, forgetful fool. Maybe now was the time. She should retire, like her husband, Caleb, had done. Caleb had retired almost a year ago. He was so happy. Instead of grumping around the house and frowning all the time, he smiled and whistled. He brought out his pencils and pastels and started drawing again. Scenes of places of interest around town. The East Courtyard at Duckwood Community College. Geese on the pond at Cobblestone Park. Patrons munching on hot dogs from a street vendor's cart outside the Hall of Justice downtown. She would come home from work every day to hear the radio tuned to the jazz station and find Caleb humming along as he put the finishing touches on dinner. And they started to go to bed together again. She would fall asleep with her head on Caleb's shoulder, thinking of nothing except how soft and warm his skin was under her hand as she rubbed his chest, and how good life could be. They had been sitting at the table after dinner one night, having tea and amaretto pound cake, when Caleb had looked at her and smiled. But it was an odd smile, kind of confused, kind of sad. The cup had dropped out of his hand, bounced off the table, and shattered on the floor. The tea had spread out in a puddle, soaking the napkins brown and dripping over the edge. And Caleb had keeled over, dead, heart attack. He'd had 3 weeks to be the happiest he had been in years. And then it was over. 42 years they'd been together, married for 40 of those 42 years. And now he was gone, and she was alone. She had done her best to recoup herself, gone back to the classroom, gotten used to having grief as her constant companion. And she had decided to start that book she had always dreamed of writing. Only instead of a book of carefree fiction for young adults, as she had originally planned, it would be a novel about relationships and stress and corporate America's involvement and the destruction of the human spirit. It was giving her trouble, though. She had plenty of ideas, but she was having a hard time coming up with the right word to express what she really wanted to say. She could feel the perfect word hovering in her head, trying to materialize, sitting on the threshold. But then it would deconstruct and float away before she could catch it, before she could make it flow through the pen or tap out on the keys. One thing she was not having a hard time with was the characters. She had them all mapped out in her head, each one loosely based on real people that she knew or had known. The main character, the star of the book, would be based on her dear Caleb. She was going to call him Carl. Emma would be called Emily. And Dunbar and Bexley Ecosystems, where Caleb used to work, would be the Dickhead and Bastard Company. Dickhead and Bastard. Emma laughed, but it was not a happy sound. That was License to be Emma. And now, the same moment from a different pair of eyes. This is License in a whisper. Life whispered in my ears today. It woke me with the joyous chirping of sparrows and the cooing of a dove and the delicate light of the orange rising sun. I watched the cream swirl white in my coffee, the eggs pop and sizzle as they hit the hot griddle, the butter run in melted delight on my toast, and I closed my eyes as I savored the warmth and the flavors and the textures of breakfast on my tongue. A painting emerged from my hands today, created from an image frozen in time by my camera one October morning years ago. Autumn's last leaves dropped on winter's first fallen snow. The leaves were sun-kissed gold, the snow crystalline and pure, blinding white, the tree furrowed and dark, and the sky in unbelievably brilliant azure blue. It was a masterpiece, a testament to life's immense beauty, a glimpse of perfection in balance, contrast, color, and light. I had encapsulated heaven. I felt so fulfilled. This was what I was meant for, to create beauty and share it with my fellow man. At least I could share it with Emma. Now, at least I could do that. Awe and wonder would move across her face, and pride. She would be so proud of me. How many past days had I wasted? Days when morning's tentative hope had faded to dull disappointment and ended with bitterness and anger. And all I wanted to do was go home to my Emma. But I arrived with anger deforming my features and plastered to my words. If I started out with anger, how could she trust the smile that might follow? If one side of my mouth blasted, accused, and criticized, and the other side of my mouth told her I loved her, how did she know which side was lying and which was the side she should believe? But we got past all that. I left the bitterness and anger behind. Morning's hope and anticipation became a day filled with happiness and contentment at night. In the end, it's the little things that matter most. They explode with importance. They remind me of what I will miss the most. They tell me why it was good to be alive. Sunlight sneaking through the maple's green canopy, leaving dappled patterns on the ground. The hush in the air as the sun dips to meet the horizon and the sky is filled with color, radiant oranges, purples, pinks, and blues. Red-breasted robin trilling an evening song. The perfectly smooth and creamy surface of peanut butter in a newly opened jar. Chocolate, rich and dark, melting on my tongue. Tea running warm down my throat. The fine wisps of gray at Emma's temple and mingled in her chestnut hair. Emma's eyes sparkling and crinkling at the corners when she laughed. The way my heart sang for Emma. I tried to smile. I'm not sure it came out right. I hope she could see it. I hope she could see my love for her shining in my eyes as life pounded in me one last time and then kissed me goodbye. Again, I'm Diane Rivoli, and those were excerpts from my novel, License. Thank you so much for listening.